You're welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Esther Vese. Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode has considered defeat in the All Progressives Congress Lagos governorship primary. His concession marks an end to weeks of political tension in the state, which had put the governor at loggerheads with key members of his party in the state. Now, at the end of the controversial primary on Tuesday, Ambode polled 72,901 votes, while his rival and the party's anointed candidate, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, got 970,851 votes. Now, Ambode has now congratulated Sanwo-Olu and called for support for the APC gubernatorial candidate in the 2019 governorship election. Now, the incumbent governor promised that he will ensure the smooth transition of the government to the next governor. He also pleaded for the unity among party members in the state.
Hello, Lagosians. The last few days have witnessed intense political activities that have gripped the attention of the nation and created palpable tension in the polity. I strongly believe that the time has now come for the state to move forward in order that the gains of the last 3.5 years are not lost. Dear Lagosians, APC is a great party, and the interest of our beloved state must always supersede that of any person or group. It is in this regard that I wholeheartedly congratulate the winner of the Lagos State APC primaries, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and urge all Lagosians to immediately support our party's gubernatorial candidate in the 2019 elections and work for the success of our dear party. As governor, I will do everything possible to ensure a smooth transition in the remaining period of this administration and ultimately to the new governor come May 2019. I therefore appeal to all our party members that we remain one family and unite behind the candidates of the party so that we can continue to move this state forward. The progress of Lagos State is non-negotiable. It is a project that I have passionately worked for in the last 3.5 years as your governor, and one to which I will forever be devoted. I wish to use this opportunity to thank our national leader, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the leadership of our great party at the state and national levels, all party faithful and all Lagosians. I thank all Lagosians for their faith and trust in me. I urge you not to relent in your support for our party as we prepare for the general elections.
In Cross River State, 3 APC governorship aspirants are protesting the outcome of the just concluded primary election in the South-South state. Senator John Eno, representing Cross River Central in the Senate, has been declared the winner of the primaries in the state by the chairman of the Electoral Committee, Ali Magaji. Now, other aspirants led by John Ade are accusing the South-South chairman of the party, Hilliard Etta, of colluding with Eno to rig the primaries. They are asking the national leadership to attend to their demands.
The collusion that has happened between the National Vice Chairman South-South and Senator John Waneno in these gubernatorial elections that is threatening to derail the possibilities of the APC performing well in the governorship elections of next year and the presidential elections of next year is a really, really existential threat to the party in Cross River State. And we're here today to register our protest even before we begin to write letters or write a protest, write a petition to the appeals committee and to the party. In other parts of the state, in central Cross River, in large parts of the state, in central Cross River and in the south, the materials were just carted away. They were just carted away and results fabricated. In the few polling units, the few wards where the semblance of an election was going on, very, very few numbers of ballot papers were allotted to those words where they felt that some of us had strengths. And these are in a very small fraction of the wards in the state where elections actually held. So what we're saying is that the whole process was a fabrication, it was a hijack, and we are calling that the right thing should be done. In a party like the All Progressives Congress, 3 of us standing here, before now we're opponents in the race, but now we're standing together to fight a joint evil.
And in Imo State, the national chairman of the ruling All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, has sacked the Ahmed Gulak-led committee of the party's governorship primary in Imo State. Now, the former Edo State governor, while addressing state correspondents at the presidential villa in Abuja, says the results being paraded as a result of the Imo governorship primaries is fake. He, however, assured that the process would be completed before the weekend.
Not too good news for today, but not surprising. They have to learn to begin to comply with rules. They have 2 fake results, and we adopted both fake results. None of them is genuine. And we will disband, we will appoint a fresh committee, electoral panel that will conduct a transparent, direct primaries that reflect the will of members of APC in Imo State, regardless of the interests and the powers that are behind any of the group. The truth does not require supporters club to stand. It has its leg, it has its head, and we will do just that.
In the opposition People's Democratic Party, the party has assured members that its national convention to elect the party's presidential candidate for the 2019 election will be transparent and successful. The National Publicity Secretary, Kola Olopodinyo, says the party has put in place strategies to carry all the aspirants along in the processes of the convention. Now, Olopodinyo says the openness of the process is also to show that the party leadership has no interest in any of the aspirants, but to allow the people to elect a winning candidate. He also dismissed suggestions that the aspirants were forced into accepting Port Harcourt as a venue for the convention, saying all members of the National Executive Committee, as well as the presidential aspirant, unanimously settled for Rivers State. The Independent National Electoral Commission has presented the winner of the Osun governorship election, Boyega Oyetola, with his certificate of return. Oyetola, who is also a former chief of staff to the governor in the southwestern state, was declared winner of the election last Friday. He polled 255,505 votes to defeat his People's Democratic Party rival Ademola Adeleke, who scored 255,023 votes in the final calculations after the rerun held on Thursday. Oyetola will replace Rauf Aregbesola as governor of Osun State. After a flood which killed at least 40 people in over 100 communities, residents in Niger State are now just getting back on their feet. They are currently camped in various internally displaced people's camps in different areas of the state as the government seeks ways to rebuild the community. Now, our crew has been in the state recently to review the situation and the efforts of the government.
This is the situation in some communities in Niger State after torrential rainfall and the opening of the Shiroro and Jebo dams. Over 40 people have died in the disaster, which has swept away acres of farmland, major roads and submerged houses in 130 communities. The disaster represents a heavy loss for most residents in the north-central state, whose major occupation is fishing and farming.
This flood is usually normal come every year. Just like 4 years now, it's usually come every year. But before, as in they come, we are very appreciative about it. But since the last 2 years, he is usually coming and spoiling our foods, and we not even get fish as we are getting before. We are suffering on heat because it's damaging some of our rooms.
Before, we pray for flooding because by the time you get your fish, when you go fishing a day, you got something like 20,000, 30,000. We didn't care about it, but now no fishing. And there was a time we change to the farming. Now all our farmland clear away, nothing more. The only thing now, we don't have anything to do, just looking ahead of the state government or NEMO or FEMA to assist or to take us to another place so that we will have another task settlement.
The victims of the flooding have now been put in several internally displaced persons camps in the state. There have been distributed materials by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and the State Emergency Management Agency. The Nigerian Air Force is also offering support.
It's been the tradition of the Air Force to reach out to the people. I think that this has given us more successes because people see Air Force as their own. It's not as if Air Force is there and they are there. We are now having that synergy within the community, between the community and the Nigerian Air Force. So it's encouraging us to reach out to more communities with similar problems or are displaced by insecurity. This program is targeted at the camp in particular and the community as a whole. So adding up the camp and the community, we are targeting that we'll see between 4,000 and 5,000 patients within a period of 5 days.
Their stay at the IDP camp may not be for long, since state government officials have pledged to ensure they are resettled quickly.
The issue of resettlement has been seriously considered by the governor, and they have directed our agency, Ministry of Land, Ministry of Works, to make sure within the shortest possible time, make sure these people are resettled, land are provided, and they will be mapped out, cleared, then plotted, CFO will be allocated to them. And those that have the capacity to do it on their own, they will be allowed to do so, and those that don't have the capacity, the government will still look inward to see how better it can assist.
The state government is, however, not seeking to do this alone. They want more interventions from international government and agencies.
We are talking about 130 communities submerged by water, and we are looking at their health facilities, and we are trying to evacuate them, camp them, provide all these health facilities. It's overwhelming. So that is why we are calling on federal government to come to our aid, which NEMA has started coming in. So we appreciate that that is not enough. We still need more. We are looking at not even the Nigerian government, the whole world. We are looking for assistance to high.
For now, it seems the worst is over. The Minister of Water Resources is already allayed fears of a possible increase in the flooding.
The water level in Lokoja had dropped by 6 centimeters and it's still going down. The water level in Lagdo Dam in Cameroon is also going down. So hopefully the worst is over, except if there is some unforeseen and unprecedented amount of rainfall, which is very unlikely but not also unlikely to happen.
The minister's comment will be good news to not just residents of Niger State, but also residents of 12 other states where 199 people have been killed in one of the worst disasters in Nigeria's history.
The Nigerian government has been charged to ensure they create a society where fairness and equality is prompted. Stakeholders at a discourse in Abuja also wants the government to create room for the operation of civil society groups.
In a heavily politicized space where the citizens are not getting value of democracy and good governance, it is important for civil society groups to be alive and stand in the gap in defense of the common man. To do this, however, civil groups need a space of operation in an ever-shrinking civic space. This is the focus of discussion here today.
In today's world, in our country today, we find that our world is too slow to respond to issues of injustice. We wait until it gets to a point where it's almost hitting us in the face before we jump and we respond. That is our work. As people who work for justice, who work for this space, we need to keep fighting. We need to keep talking. It is ironic that even as we fight for justice from north, south, east, west, we're operating a system in Nigeria that is absolutely built on injustice.
I wanted to try and tell the story of how we became a collection of communities ruled by a company that never quite wanted to mature into a country. and have now become oppressed and obsessed with cabals without necessarily passing through the capacity of citizens. Because civic space, after all, is really about citizenship and what we do with it.
We are in a time where the civic space is a very repressed one. Despotic governments, lack of funding, and the fragmentation of the country itself. Even the terrorist activities that are going on makes it very, very difficult for civil society to be audible and to be heard. But more importantly, that citizens are becoming complacent and they're not taking their rightful place and owning their country and occupying their civic space. So all of this adds up to make our work very difficult. But it's up to us as citizens to reclaim that space.
Stakeholders, however, agree that there is need also for civil groups to earn integrity and resist every temptation to be influenced by politicians if they must speak forthrightly for the masses.
These issues is not only happening in Nigeria, it's happened everywhere, and new policies and laws are really put in place by government. So what we think civil society can do is to really continue to build solidarity, not only in the country where they operate, but I think also beyond the country they operate. So that kind of solidarity and working with the journalists and other stakeholders will help really to free the space, because civil society are so important to each country for the development, for the work to reduce inequality.
Under what conditions do we have attacks on the civic space? Political crisis, social crisis, economic crisis. What does that mean for me? What does that tell me? It tells me that if the civic space is going to be consolidated, sustained, and expanded,
we all need that space to be able to advocate for the less privileged and the very vulnerable, that are around us. We also need a civil society, to be allowed and empowered and given that space and enablement, to also hold government accountable.
Speakers at the event want government to desist from attempts to muzzle civil society groups, but rather encourage open discourse that will lead to good governance.
Up next is news and business right after this break, so do stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
My name is Alero. I am not sick. I just need you to help put your stamp on this medical report. I want to tender it at my office as a sick leave. I'll pay 10,000 naira.
Ma'am, that is impersonation. I'm not a doctor.
Oga, be like say this English no go pay. I go increase the money to 20,000 naira. I beg. If I give you that 20,000, as you wide so, if it still help your condition more. So, you don't say you spread well.
As I spread like virus, I'll be.
You talk. Come
out! If person come to your hospital, talk say make you give a fake medical report, make you go take collect sick leave. Talk and say, no, not corruption. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
You're welcome back. And now we have Annette Felix for you with the latest update in the world of business. Hello, Annette.
Hello, Esther.
So what's going on in business today?
Well, the World Bank has cut its economic growth forecast for sub-Saharan Africa this year to 2.7% from an earlier forecast of 3.1%. Well, this is mainly because of the slower than expected growth in the continent's bigger economies. The World Bank says the region, which has posted a fairly fast average growth rate in the years leading up to 2015, suffered a loss of momentum in economic output after commodity prices crashed in 2015 to 2016. In April, the World Bank had predicted that the recovery would gather pace this year, with average growth expected at 3.1%, up from 2.3% last year. Also, the federal government is increasing the gas flare penalty from 10,000 per square standard cubic feet of gas to $2 or 612.8 naira per 1,000 SCF of gas. According to the government, the increase is in the case of any firm that produces 10,000 barrels of oil or more, adding that for anyone producing less than 10,000 barrels of oil per day, the penalty has been increased to $0.5 or 153.2 naira per 1,000 standard cubic square feet of gas. The government also announced a fine of 50,000 naira or 6 months jail term for both or anyone who provided inaccurate flare data. Oil and gas experts had in the past called on the federal government to raise the gas flare penalty from 10 naira per 1,000 SCF to something higher than 50 naira in order to tame the tide of free-flow flares in the Niger Delta. And in the global oil markets, oil prices edged up on Wednesday on expectations of tighter markets once U.S. sanctions targets Iran Petroleum Ministry from next month, although a strong dollar and rising U.S. crude supply curbed gains. Brent crude oil futures were at $84.89 per barrel, while U.S. crude futures were up 7 cents at $75.30 a barrel. Brent and WTI earlier this week both reached levels last seen in November 2014, and the two contracts have risen by around 20 and 17% respectively since mid-August. Now, despite this, traders say prices were held back by a strong dollar DXY, which makes oil imports more expensive for countries using other currencies domestically, as well as by climbing supply in the United States. U.S. commercial crude inventories rose by 907,000 barrels in the week to September 28 to 400.9 million. Refinery crude runs fell by 158,000 barrels per day, and that's according to API data. Well, Stock Market Report is up next. Do stay with us. The Nigerian stock markets fell by 0.79% today, with a market capitalization of over 11 trillion naira. Taking a look at the top gainers chart, we see that Nestle Nigeria is leading that pack today, increasing by 0.07% from its last close of 1,399 naira to sell at 1,400 naira per share today. Looking at Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC here, we see it's the second top gainer on the chart, selling at 14.5 naira per share. And Zenith Bank is recording its highest share price today in the past 7 trading sessions. And Kutix PLC over here traded its highest price and volume in the past 7 market days today. While taking a look at the flip side, we see that Dangote Cement, Nigerian Breweries, Unilever, and First Bank of Nigeria Holdings recorded the most losses today. And following the trend, the banking sector snatched the most trades on the NSE today. First City Monument Bank, United Bank for Africa, Fidelity, and Access Banks are the top traders, selling over 85 million shares today. And taking a look at the market summary, we see that the volume of shares traded today as a 136.731 million naira, transacted in over 2,000 deals. Let's see what the global stocks are up to today. We see that it rose predominantly, and the FTSE's top gainer was the British commercial TV network ITV PLC. Now, there was a speculation that ITV will buy Dutch-based media company Edmond Shine, but ITV released a statement today confirming that it had absolutely no intention of striking a deal with the group. Now, after that statement was released, ITV's shares rose by 4%, and this is because investors were previously worried that buying the company for about 3 billion euros would affect them, but shareholders are obviously glad that ITV walked away from that deal. Heading over now to North America, we see that the Dow Jones recorded a historic high today after Moody's Analytics announced that the United States economy added 230,000 jobs last month. And in Asia, it wasn't a good market day today, as there was a decline in car sales of brands like Toyota, Honda, and Nissan, which pulled Japanese stocks down today to 24,110.96 basis points. And that's it from here, Esther.
Are there interesting figures, Onetta?
Indeed.
Well, thank you very much for the update in the world of business. And we're going to take a short break. And when we return, we'll bring you more stories on the international scene and in sports. So do stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
Cut. All right. What's your name again? Kemi?
Yes, sir.
Good. Are you ready for us for next week?
Yes, sir.
Next.
No, sir. No.
Look, what we need here is one who can speak fluent English. Give her a chance.
I need a angel to hold me. Hold me, my beautiful angel.
Cut! It is Angel, not Angel. Please, I'm done with you. Excuse us. Kemi was far better.
It's not about our rendition. It's not about our performance here. By the time she and her friends join us in our hotel rooms, you will know how far.
Can I have her phone?
She has a robust profile.
Real robust profile. I do not undercut professional ethics. It is an act of corruption. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
You're welcome back. A small boat carrying over 60 migrants on board has capsized off Guinea-Bissau. Commander Siga Batista says the pirogue, a narrow wooden fishing vessel, sank on Monday night off the impoverished West African country, which has 200 kilometers of coastline and no patrol ships to save lives on the high seas. Although no survivors have been found, but local radio stations have asked fishermen to tell authorities if they spot any bodies or passengers still alive. A Navy officer says the Coastal Surveillance Agency has 2 speedboats, but these are often prevented from leaving the port due to lack of fuel. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has called on authorities in regional states to address the ethnic tensions that have led to tens of thousands of people being displaced by violence. Abiy also defended the radical reforms which he has undertaken, including opening up the political space and making peace with longtime enemy Eritrea. He was addressing a conference of the ruling EPRDF coalition, his first speech to the gathering as Prime Minister. Raja Casablanca saw off Ayimba 1-0 in the first leg of their CAF Champions League semi-final encounter in Aba. Abdelaila Hafidi gave Raja Casablanca the lead shortly to the start of the second half in the 48th minute as they grabbed a vital away goal. The home side were made to rue a penalty miss as they could not fight back their way into the tie as the away side held on to the advantage. Now the Moroccan side now has a first leg advantage as they travel back home with a victory and an away goal. Cameroon President Paul Biya has insisted his country will be ready to host next year's Africa Cup of Nations. Biya made the assurance to the president of the Confederation of African Football, Hamad Hamad, during a meeting in Yando on Tuesday. Now, in turn, Ahmed added, CAF has no plans to take the tournament away from Cameroon. Next year's Nations Cup is set to be the first to feature 24 teams and hosted in June and July rather than earlier in the year. Questions have been raised about whether Cameroon will have everything in place to host a successful event, especially in light of recent political unrest in the country. Manchester United captain Antonio Valencia is apologizing for advertently liking an Instagram post calling for manager Jose Mourinho to be sacked. The Red Devils manager came under increasing pressure on Tuesday following a 0-0 draw with Spanish club Valencia at Old Trafford in the Champions League. Now, prior to which the club legend Paul Scholes had said that he was embarrassing the club. Now, fuel was poured to fire when the 33-year-old who liked the Instagram post criticized the manager after the draw. Now, the Ecuador international right-back played his 5th match of the season for the Old Trafford side on Tuesday. And that's it on news now. Do log on to our website at www.tv360nigeria.com to get news updates and watch more of our programs. You can also watch us on Facebook at facebook.com/TV360online and on Twitter at twitter.com/TV360Nigeria. We're also live on YouTube at youtube.com/TV360Nigeria. And we're also on Google Plus and our handle is TV360Nigeria. Thank you very much for watching. I am Esther Vese.